In a busy free agency period, we got a lot of interesting player transactions and some teams will look very differently come next season. In this video, let me break down a few important moves and what that could mean for each team. What up everybody, my name is Stefan and this is Heat Check. Let's get into it. First things first, you already know, we gotta start with the Lakers. They acquired a 19 point per game speed demon in Dennis Schroder. And I love what Rondo did, especially in the bubble, but the point differential between the two is more than apparent. But then, check this out. They got the 6th man of the year Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, and Wesley Matthews for a combined $15.3 million a year, which is crazy good value. This is what a serious contending organization does. Right after winning the championship, they recognize that their window is right now and that they have a real shot to repeat, so big shout out to Rob Pelinka for pulling all of these moves. Matthews is basically more or less the same player that they lost in Danny Green, but the two big men are most definitely upgrades from Howard and McGee, who left the Lakers. And when a team that just won the championship got even better, you know that that's crazy, especially when we transition to what was supposed to be their biggest rival and threat, the Clippers. They lost both JaMychal Green and Montrez, of course, but kind of got back in the mix by adding Serge Ibaka, who matchup-wise might even be a better fit for these games in particular against the Lakers and guarding Anthony Davis. Whatever the case may be, I feel like if we gave them the edge on paper before the start of last season, now it's more than apparent that LeBron and company definitely have a more formidable roster, at least in theory, and Steve Ballmer still needs a few more moves to level up the playing field in the West. And speaking of the Western Conference, the way I see it at the moment, things only got more and more watered down. The only other dangerous team that got better were the Blazers with the acquisition of Robert Covington, a nice 3-and-D player, and they also brought back Enes Kanter. The Rockets seem to be imploding. Besides Covington, Austin Rivers also left the team, and not to mention the rumors that both Harden and Westbrook want out of Houston. Both Denver and Dallas pretty much stayed the same, so not much to talk about there. I do want to salute the move that Phoenix made to bring Chris Paul. We saw what he did last season and how he transformed OKC into an extremely dangerous team. So the Suns management added both him and another savvy veteran that finished off last season extremely well in Jay Crowder. In his time with the Heat, Crowder had 12 points per game on 44.5% from downtown. Phoenix obviously brought these players, especially Paul of course, in an attempt to provide mentorship to their franchise player Devin Booker and also finally offer him a taste of the playoffs for the first time in his career. This is the only start that they've got in a long time, so they must show him some progress and serious competition worth playing for if they want to keep him. And I believe that CP3 is the perfect guy for that. The Suns Arena will be blasting music come playoff time cause I expect this team to finally get in. Hey, speaking of music, check this out. I've been on Skillshare lately trying to learn the basics of playing the piano, and while I wait for my real keyboard to be delivered, I'm checking out this class from Elvire Boulay and playing around on my phone, and I love the progress. By the way, thanks Skillshare for sponsoring this video. They offer thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on pretty much any topic. Photography, video, illustration, music, you name it. For less than $10 a month, you have unlimited access to these classes so you can learn new skills at any time. The first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. Okay, back to the video. And speaking of making the next step and finally competing for a playoff spot, we have a team in almost the exact same situation as Phoenix. Atlanta also wanted to take their young core to the next level and show them what the playoffs look like. So they picked up a great leader in Rajon Rondo and another significant scoring option in Danilo Gallinari. He ended last year with almost 19-5, and all of that while shooting 40.5% from downtown. That will definitely help take the pressure off of Trae Young a little. And they added Chris Dunn, a terrific defensive specialist and second in the league in steals per game. Now, things could get very serious if Atlanta has some luck and brings Bogdan Bogdanovic to the team. He signed a $72 million offer sheet with them, but since he's a restricted free agent, Sacramento has an option to match this within the next 48 hours. Celtics. So probably by the time you watch this, things would be resolved. But I'm seriously pulling for the Hawks to get him and for this upwards momentum to continue. They will be very interesting to watch next season. Moving on to the contenders. Of course, Milwaukee's addition of Jrue Holiday is the flashiest one, but I like what they did to improve the depth. They added DJ Augustin to the bench, a guy who can both penetrate and pull up with a shot. Also Bryn Forbes, a fierce competitor from the Spurs who shoots the three at almost 39%. And Bobby Portis, a young power forward with terrific energy who finally gets a chance to play on a contending team after spending his entire career on teams like the Knicks, Bulls, and the Wizards. Do these moves make the Bucks a better team, and does Jrue Holiday's 19-7 and especially his top-tier defense give them a chance to finally get to the NBA Finals? I think so. Moving on. One move that kind of went under the radar was Tristan Thompson to the Celtics, but if you ask me, this is very important and they covered a significant hole in the roster. Thompson is a big body and good defensive presence that both Daniel Tice and Kenner were unable to give him last season, and you could really see that in the playoffs. Not only does Thompson solve that, but also gives them big improvement on the offensive end as well with his 12-10 from last season. I'm legitimately excited for this, as it was the one visible weakness that the Celtics had. They had to make all kinds of switches and helping out under the basket to try and combat it, so let's see how they look next season. And they also got better at the backup point guard position as well by signing Jeff Teague. Although at 32.5 years old, I feel like he still has some great minutes in him and is an improvement of course over Wanamaker who left the team. The final squad that I want to mention is the Sixers. This is what a great GM like Daryl Morey can do for you. He immediately brought shooting by signing Seth Curry, who will bring his 12.5 points and 45.2% three-point shooting. Guys, that's elite. That's the cream of the crop in the NBA. Don't sleep on him, especially with the looks that he'll be getting on the kickouts from Embiid or Simmons. The Sixers did have to give away Josh Richardson, who I love, but I feel like Curry will perform perfectly in his role with this team. Philly also brought Danny Green, and I know that Lakers fans will say that he cannot hit the ocean shooting from a boat when talking about the finals last year, but he shot a totally cool 36.7% from behind the line and will compete every single night. Rounding things off, at the backup center position, they got another big body behind Joel in Dwight Howard. So I feel like depth-wise, they are covered, and it's just going to be a matter of Doc Rivers fitting these pieces together and implementing a playing style that would allow both Embiid and Simmons to play well together. But that's easy for me to say. Let's see what they do. These were the most significant and most interesting player moves, at least in my opinion, and up to this moment. Let me know in the comments who you think won and lost this free agency. That's it for now. Subscribe and talk to you in the next one. Peace out.